I'm sure most of you are knowledgeable about the world of mobile games. They're either the best or worst thing you've ever seen. This is due to various reasons, the biggest one being trends. Trends affect pretty much everything. That's why cars are faster and logos change and thrifting for some reason has gotten popular. But for specifically mobile gaming, this has incentivized devs to create ripoffs, half-baked games that hop on a trend for monetary gain. There's an unsurprising amount of ripoffs of actually good games, so I'll show you a handful of examples I plucked from the ever-growing tree of mobile game ripoffs. Indian Bikes Driving 3D was released on December 28, 2020. It's supposed to be some terrible GTA ripoff, but they claim to be the most realistic Indian bike driving 3D game, in which I don't doubt one single bit. Playing this game was interesting to say the least. Once you start up the game, there's literally nothing on the screen except for a few buttons and the links to their socials. There's play, settings, and challenge. Now if you press play, it just directly puts you into the game, in which you are then loaded into a house. The graphics are really terrible. For some reason, everything is shadowed, even your furniture, when there's no light inside the room whatsoever. And even though there are windows at the front, the sun isn't located there. The controls were very basic, which isn't a bad thing, but they didn't handle the greatest. And for some reason, you couldn't look in front of you no matter how hard you tried. Now, under the joystick, there is a phone button, which gives you access to various other things, like how it has the Android 8.0 navigation buttons. But if you click the top right, it will take you to the gallery where you can customize your character. You can customize things like your shirt, your mask, to your glasses, and even your hair, which is only one hairstyle, so I hope you like dreads. The weird thing with the buttons though is that you have to tap it 3 times in order to get a different style. I don't know why they couldn't just line up all the styles, but this game is called Indian Bikes Driving 3D, so I guess I shouldn't expect much. If you go to the contact section, there's actually a list of people there. You can't call them though, I already tried. The 6th button leads to the train controls, in which I'd assume you'd have to be near a train in order to operate that properly. There's also a sticky bomb you can activate, which is interesting. Out of the 8 buttons here, 3 of them don't work, that being the email, map, and camera buttons. The internet button does work, in which you'd have to paste something, but I'm not sure what you would paste there. Another thing is when I try to get up the stairs, sometimes it wouldn't work. I don't know what you would call this in dev terms, but it definitely isn't polished. There is a car on the outside, but I couldn't figure out how to get into it in the footage. There's not anything interesting to see anyways. One thing I also figured out is that there's no jump button. You just have to automatically vault over everything, which is weird, but okay. And on the top right, there's an arsenal button in which there are various weapons. There's also C4, but I couldn't figure out how to detonate that. There's not much to it after that, but there's something else about this game that's very interesting. So if you go back to the menu and click on challenges, there are various different modes you can play, that being Mega Ramp, Fun Track, Jurassic Park, and Zombie mode. Jurassic Park is quite literally just an endless forest with dinosaurs, so I just blew them all up with an RPG, which I won't lie was kind of fun. The Zombie mode is quite literally the same as the play mode. I didn't see any zombies on the map. The Mega Ramp mode was weird. There was this green hurricane you got into, and you just went down this incredibly huge ramp. The car easily broke off every time I landed, but at one point I fell off the ramp and landed on the floor, and the car was still in one piece. So I don't know if just the body panels are fragile, but that was odd. Plus the car could stop on a dime. The Fun Track mode was actually where you could use the train controls. There's a big train there, and using the controls you can have it do whatever. There was like a lineup of barrels on train tracks that it ran over, causing them to explode. There's also a big ramp, but I didn't know how to navigate it towards that. The train just leaves though, never to be seen again, which kind of just makes it seem like a waste of a mode. But again, it's not like I'm expecting much. And of course, like most mobile games, it was flooded with ads. This game was just weird. I'm surprised it's still in the Play Store almost 4 years later. I saw no Indians or bikes, just 3D driving, and that wasn't great. There are way better GTA ripoffs, just play those. Super Sus was released on November 29th, 2021 by PI Productions. It's an Among Us clone, except there are a lot more roles you can play in this game. You can be a sheriff, a time assassin, a lord, a magician, and a lot more. And I mean a lot more. Like, why are there guns in an Among Us ripoff? This game has a casual and a ranked mode. Ranked Among Us was a wild term to begin with, but it's the same as Among Us from its animations to its ship layout. I don't think I need to explain what you can do in this game since you all know what Among Us is. I guess the only difference in this game is that you're 3D and have arms. That and then the various roles you can play. There's even pets and gimmicks you can unlock, which is just so weird. I don't get it. This is supposed to be an Among Us ripoff. I don't know why they just added a bunch of stuff to it as if that would make it better. They'd probably add 5 more minutes of interest, but that's about it. I don't know, man. This game is weird. It doesn't even make sense to get because Among Us is free on the App Store. So why would you play anything else? Some people probably like this game, and if you're one of those, by all means, go check it out. I just find it funny that they replicated a game with a simple concept, made it complex, but didn't make it any more entertaining. Single City Social Life Sim was released on September 20th, 2022 by A Thinking Ape Entertainment. Absolutely incredible company name. This is supposed to be a Sims ripoff of some sort. You move into a new apartment that you have to renovate, and you earn money to do those renovations by streaming. There's quirky characters to learn about with their own stories. There's locations you can discover to build on. There's even trendy furniture to get because your house should have a little drip. You can even date in this app, which they really encourage, which is also weird because there's a live chat. Yeah, that totally won't allow some awful things to happen. Again, it doesn't make sense to play this game since there's already a Sims mobile. Shout out to the ones who remember when it was called Free Play. It doesn't look the worst, it's just so cringy. Plus, having that live chat thing isn't a good idea whatsoever. Ugandan Battle Royale Online was released on January 17, 2018 by Megabull Mobile Online Survival Simulation Games, which is a super weird name. This is an obvious knockoff of Fortnite. This is the only one on the list that is good though. We all love Ugandan Knuckles, okay? There are skins, cosmetics, and even an Area 51 raid map. What other game has an Area 51 raid map? Exactly. Who cares if the controls are wonky? Who cares if aiming down gives you aimbot? Who cares if the weapons are incredibly weak? It's Ugandan Knuckles, dog. I'll watch the hundreds of ads it throws at me for Ugandan Knuckles. This is the best game to ever be created. Had this been on the Epic Game Store, Fortnite would be shaking in its boots. This game is absolutely goated with the sauce, meaning the boys cranking 90s on Green Hills Zone 1. I don't want to hear it, brother. This game is amazing, and you can still play it today. You're tripping banana bongs if you don't think this is the greatest game ever. Okay, in all seriousness, this game is terrible. The movement sucks and the enemies are too powerful, but it's like a fun bad. So if you're fine with fun bad games, you're gonna love this one. Underwater Survival Deep Dive was released on March 28th, 2024 by Craft Game World RA. This is a ripoff of Subnautica. Just like the original, you're stranded on sea and have to craft items to survive. It just looks and plays way worse. To give it some credit, the movement is pretty smooth. It's just everything on the outside of the ship looks really bad. And there are quite a bit of Subnautica ripoffs. I'd say this one is better than most, but that doesn't make this game necessarily good. There's also a big ship, just like in the original Subnautica, but you can't go there. And unlike the original game, it's flooded with a ton of ads. There's also little pop-ups to try to get you to buy their microtransactions, which I get it, you need to make money, but this is an ocean survival game. I think the fun in this game is strategizing about your resources instead of being able to buy whatever you want. I don't know, if you can't play the original Subnautica, I guess you could play this one. It's just significantly less fun. It's not as intricate, so it's not as entertaining. Schoolgirl Simulator was released on March 16, 2017 by Miramsoft. This is an obvious ripoff of Yandere Simulator. The character you play as literally looks the same. Loading up the game, the main menu is cluttered with buttons, in which they allow you to customize your character. I don't know why you can have a dedicated section to that though, like literally every other game. There's also a lot of locked items. There's also buttons to rotate your character frame by frame. You can also change your character to a boy or the same girl with just different outfits, in which the outfits get kind of weird, at least for a game like this. There's also an option to turn zombie mode on and off. I'm not really sure how fun that would be in a game like this. When you play the actual game, the controls suck so much. It's super hard to look around and it takes forever for the camera to pan towards you. There's also a bunch of like game controller icons on the screen, which I'm on a mobile device. Why are there game controller buttons? I do find it funny that you can just ride in any vehicle, but that's completely pointless since you can fly. Yeah, this just seems like Yandere Simulator with all the cheats. The car though is super weird. It stops on a literal dime and can turn really quickly. I need to know the engineers who made this. You can do things like talk to people and dance and even pick them up. There's many areas you can go to, such as food markets and school. This is just a significantly worse Yandere Simulator, in which that game is bad in of itself. Yeah, there was also a random cat somewhere, so I just placed it next to a helicopter. I don't know why anyone would get this game. I don't know what else to say about it. This game just sucks. I see no point in playing it, but hey, if you want to, I guess you can. Five Nights with Froggy 2 was released on May 23rd, 2019 by GK Production. This is a ripoff of the Five Nights at Freddy's series, except it takes a bit of a twist. Instead of a rundown pizzeria, you're in a royal theater that you have to guard and make sure nobody breaks into. There's an entire story to go along with it, as well as 6 different endings. There's 6 different enemies you have to watch out for, as well as 30 cameras to look at them with. 30 cameras is crazy. There's also a little bottle knock mini game in the workshop, which is pretty cool. The story takes place in 2007, which is way newer than I thought it would be. Now, in terms of the story and the lore, this game isn't bad at all, but the visuals, man, they definitely need some improvements. I think this is a very interesting concept. I'd assume this wasn't made to be scary, since none of it is visually. So in the case of being a FNAF ripoff, it fails horribly, but for an individual game, I'd say it's nice. Check it out if you want to. It's one of those lesser known gems. You know, you don't come by a lot of games like these. Who am I kidding? You do all the time. It's funny seeing how bad ripoffs can be though. There's a lot more of them to discover, so who knows? I might go and find them.